Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. While I'm in transit, actually, I'm not in transit, I'm waiting for my flight. I think I might as well use this time and do some work because I have been lazy, haven't done much, haven't posted anything lately, but I will post. And the thing I want to talk about today is that scripture that says, "In his presence is a fullness of joy, and in his right hand are pleasures forevermore." I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how the pleasures of carnality seems to be so haranguing in the moment. It's almost like, oh, when you're faced with a moment like the presence of God versus the pleasures of carnality, and it always seems like God is denying us pleasure. It's almost like there's a sacrifice to make to follow God, and pleasure is almost like you have to deny yourself of pleasure to follow God. And somehow, inherently, that seems to stick inside of me like God is trying to deny me of pleasure somehow when I'm following Him. Subconsciously, that seems to be there. And so the other day, I was reading that scripture. I guess I'll Google it and put the scripture in um, on this. And the in His right hand are pleasures forevermore. And I He does give pleasure. God is not in denial. He's not trying to deny us of pleasure. So that concept that, oh, following God is a you sacrifice pleasure to follow Him is actually wrong theology. Wrong. Because He will give pleasure, and the pleasure He gives is actually a pleasure that fulfills. It's not a pleasure that leaves you harassed. It's not a pleasure that abuses you. It's not a pleasure that harasses you. I've said that. It's not a pleasure that promises but doesn't fulfill. Like say somebody who gets high. The promise of getting high is, oh, you get there and there'll be this elation and this fulfillment that takes you to the ninth cloud. And yes, that does happen, but then it drops you. Or the pleasure of sex. I mean, it's pleasure, but and actually that pleasure of sex, it is God initiated because sex is a gift from God. As long as it's not abused. When you abuse it or misuse it, then it becomes then it has side effects. Then it begins to bleach you. It begins to leach you. Um, but as long as it is appropriately done in the context of your value system, because I'm not here to give you your value system of what is moralistic sex. That's not my job. That's between you and God. So, but as long as sex is done in the parameters of your value system, it is wholesome. So, the the very idea that God somehow denies us of pleasure, it's a wrong concept that we have adopted from legalism, the legalism or the dogma that we have taken from churchism makes us think that, oh, I have to do this to gain access or to gain his approval or to gain something from him. But I don't really have to do that. I don't. It is it is us coming to him just as we are, getting access into his presence, and not just getting access into his presence, but getting intimated with him. And as we get intimated with him, then he intimates us with pleasure that fulfills. I mean, I'm not exaggerating, honestly. I'm being honest. I'm living my best life right now. But my best life that I'm living is not something that is flashy or something that is gaudy, like it's not bling bling or it's not, no. It's fulfillment. I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. I'm not living to impress anyone. I'm just living fulfilled. I wake up and I do what I want to do, and it's fulfilling. And getting the pleasures of his right hand is a pleasure that fulfills. It's not a pleasure that promises and just doesn't give. It's not a pleasure that takes you up and traps you. It's not a pleasure that leaves you deflated. It's a pleasure that makes you whole. It makes you complete. It makes you him. Because we are aspiring to be our best versions in him. So I hope I did nail it on the head. I feel like I didn't, but I hope I did. Hey, that's all I can do.